It's not new, but it needs to be mentioned. Tesla has just completely changed its battery strategy worldwide, not really being reported on other than in a negative way by mainstream news sites. But it's not negative. It's actually smart strategy. Here's what they're doing, and here's why it makes 100% next level sense. And in fact, why it gives Tesla a pretty big advantage over much of the competition. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. My name's Sam Evans, and I'm coming to you here from Melbourne, Australia. Thanks for tuning in. Great to see you. Hope you've had an amazing day. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Tesla, well, they make the most American cars in America, which is really good for them. Because as the years go on, in fact, very soon, unless you make your electric vehicles in the United States, they won't qualify for tax credits. So the US government has inadvertently given Tesla a big advantage over all of the competition. Because have a look at the list of most American-made cars, the top 10. None of them are electric vehicles from anyone except Tesla. In fact, Tesla owns first, second, I believe fourth and fifth positions. The only vehicle that is in that top 5 that's not a Tesla is, I believe, a Lincoln that sells about 5 a year, some ridiculous figure like that. So the key point here is, right, that Tesla has a pretty big advantage over the coming years, considering they don't need to try and change. I mean, Ford, for example, makes the Mustang Mach-E where it makes it in Mexico. I'm sure you already knew that, right? Here's another example of General Motors. I mean, they source a very large percentage of their parts from Hyundai Grobus. Where are those parts made? Yeah, most of them not in the US. And that said, GM will be producing EVs in America, so will Ford. But that production there in the US is not going to come online in terms of battery cell production and other parts production, vehicle production for a little while to come. Of course, though, that is a big part of their plans. Now, Electric has just reported what's really old news. I don't know why they reported this as news. This was reported weeks ago, but it's been reported as new news by Electric, saying Tesla is running into issues building battery cells at Gigafactory Berlin. Now, the article is saying that Tesla's having problems with their battery production in Germany, so therefore they're sending all their manufacturing equipment to the US because of their problems in Germany. Now, that's ridiculous. It's like a completely way of changing the story, changing the narrative. It's not true at all. The truth is, Tesla's gone, okay, we've read the act, we've seen what this says, so, okay, what's the smartest thing to do? Not what sunk cost bias. So many car manufacturers, sunk cost bias, they just stick with what they know. For example, General Motors, once lithium iron phosphate batteries became the better option, they just stuck with what they know, which is lithium ternary batteries. That's not the best long-term solution. In fact, I've got a video coming on why every automaker who doesn't predominantly use LFP batteries is in significant trouble. Now, Ford's have started to pivot towards LFP. Rivian are trying to do the same thing. GM are not. The point here is the faster you can pivot to the changing conditions, the better. So if your company is a huge company that gets stuck with sunk cost bias all the time, makes a decision and can't reverse itself from that because the ship is too big, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It doesn't matter how much your fans want to defend that. It doesn't make sense if it doesn't make sense anymore. That is my point here. Now, having the batteries being manufactured in Germany doesn't make sense anymore. It really just doesn't, because the priority here should be the United States. Manufacturing batteries in the United States is integral to the bill. It's integral to Tesla getting these massive incentives, so it makes sense for them to ramp production as fast as they can in the US. Now, the other thing is, many people have pointed out the fact that 4680 cells are not as great as what they'd hoped. Now, whether that's true or not doesn't really matter. The truth is, CATL's lithium iron phosphate batteries, the newest technology, their C2P technology, their M3P batteries, those batteries are extremely affordable. So are Goshon High-Tech's. Now, Goshon High-Tech are building a lithium iron phosphate battery factory in the United States. It was announced last week. No one really talked about this anywhere. But remember when I reported about a year ago, or maybe it was a little bit less than that Goshon High-Tech had signed a contract with an American automaker to provide 200 gigawatt hours of lithium iron phosphate batteries. Now, this was before Volkswagen were really planning on using LFP batteries. So I think the most logical conclusion to make was that that contract was with Tesla. This contract was also signed before Volkswagen purchased a 25% stake in Giga Shanghai Tech. So it appears as though Goshan will provide Tesla and possibly Volkswagen as well with lithium iron phosphate batteries in the United States. So to actually make the most sense of the new incentives, it makes sense for Tesla to send battery production facilities, whatever they have, in Germany to the US, and then to use CATL and BYD's lithium iron phosphate batteries in as many EVs as possible. I mean, why on earth would you use anything but those batteries in those vehicles? It's cheaper. The new technology coming from these companies is phenomenal technology. It doesn't make sense to use anything else based on the price. Germans and Europeans are not saying you have to manufacture the batteries in Europe, otherwise we won't give you incentives. So why do so? Why bother? That is the most sensible, logical decision from Tesla. Now, if you're unsure what I'm talking about here, you're not sure what M3P batteries are. They're the latest lithium iron phosphate batteries from CATL, which have a much higher energy density, around about 15 to 20% higher energy density than the previous lithium iron phosphate batteries. But these new packs will use a similar type of structural battery pack to what Tesla uses in its 4680 powered vehicles in the US. So they'll be lighter and have higher energy density, and they cost the same amount as the previous technology. So that means that Tesla will be getting cells with high energy density for the same price. Now, you're probably thinking, doesn't make sense, CATL. I mean, why would they do that? Well, actually, these guys are making billions of dollars. They made record profits this year. Giga Shanghai Tech, same exact story. Tesla is CATL's biggest customer by far. Why not keep your biggest customer happy? Okay, Tesla's strategy clearly is to use lithium iron phosphate batteries from BYD and CATL in Germany. Why on earth would you bother using 4680s? Tesla went, you know what, this is a stupid decision. This wasn't the best decision to make. Let's reverse this decision. It was a good move. I personally was wondering why they were bothering building 4680 cells in Germany. I didn't think it made sense, considering the technology that they can get from China now at a lower price. So reversing that decision, in my view, was the best decision to make. But clearly, Tesla's doing a few things here. One, they're moving cell production to the US to capitalize on the Inflation Reduction Act. Basically, the plan is to get free money for doing exactly what they're already doing, but just to get more of it. Now, the other thing is to remember that Tesla has already begun production of 4680s in the US. So adding battery cell production there is not as difficult, nowhere near as difficult as what it would be as to, say, creating a totally new battery cell plant in Germany from scratch, hiring the technicians, training the staff, setting all that production up would be much harder than simply adding to their existing production lines in the US. Now, for those of you saying 4680 cells are not that great, I've read that and seen that a lot everywhere. I don't think it really matters that much. Remember, it's not a very big part of Tesla's battery strategy. Probably, I would say, no more than 30% of their batteries worldwide, in fact, probably less than that, will end up being 4680s. Remember, what is the primary battery that goes into about 70% of Tesla's vehicles right now? It's not 4680s. It is lithium iron phosphate batteries, whether those are from CATL, BYD, or anyone else, besides the point. That's the battery technology. Now remember, even though Tesla doesn't primarily manufacture those itself in the US, another company will. That's their plan. Giga Shanghai Tech are going to do it for them. And that's why Goshan just announced their cell production plant in the US that nobody seemed to notice. Everyone seemed to ignore it. Wasn't relevant, but actually it's incredibly relevant and incredibly important. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Bye-bye.